I heard you got a new job. Oh my gosh, congratulations. Now, are you ready to impress your boss? If that's something that you're interested in, stay tuned. Hello, welcome and welcome back to the channel. My name is Rokeya, also known as MsQueenRo. I am a lifestyle adventure creator, and today we're all about lifestyle, but we're gonna have a touch of career in there. Congratulations, but you know what? It's not just for royals who has a new job. This video can help anyone. If you're interested in impressing your boss, I have 3 tips that will help you. Now, my focus, or the example I'm going to use, is within the first 90 days of your new job, because I just hit my 90 days, somewhere around there. Congratulations to me. But like I said, this video can help anyone, especially if you're the quiet one that you want to have some type of relationship with your boss, but you don't know how. Just stay tuned. But before we jump into it, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button, because you're already going to get valuable information. So don't forget to go ahead and click that thumbs up button, and make sure you subscribe for more content like this regarding a new job, a business, or if you just like lifestyle content or adventure travel content, this is the place to be. Now we're going to jump right into it, but there's one question I do want to ask first. What is one thing you would have done differently in the first 90 days of your job? Even if you're watching this video and it's been, what, 10 years since you've been on your job? If you can think back for a second, what is one thing that you would have changed? Go ahead and put your answers below, but let me go ahead and tell you my one thing. The one thing I would have changed is, like I said, I'm reaching my 90 days. I wish there was a way for maybe in the first 30 days that I could have impressed my boss a little bit more. Now, I will say I just received a phone call from him not too long ago. Actually, what just passed was Employee Appreciation Day. And he sent an email to the whole team saying how appreciative of he is of all of us and that we're doing a great job. But he personally gave me a phone call. He probably did it to everybody, but I'm just going to take it was just about me. He told me I was one of his best hires. Again, probably told it to everybody, but still, that felt good to hear in the moment, because I am actually the newest person to join his team. And you never know how that's going to be when everybody else has been on the team for, 6 months. We got some people on the team that's been on his team for 6 years. And you never know how that is. So for him to just give me specifically a call to say, you're one of my best hires, that felt good. But now I'm like, did I set the precedence? Is there anything I can do to make it higher, set my standards higher? Well, there is. And like I said, let me give you these 3 tips. Let's jump right into it. Tip number 1, don't wait for tasks. If you see something that needs to be done, just go ahead and do it. Now, I know if you are new watching this, you're probably waiting, or you probably don't know what there is to do. You're learning the position, you're learning the culture of the job. I understand that, but still, you have experience somewhere else, unless you are really fresh out of college. And I don't think anybody in my audience really is fresh out of college, but if you are, there's something that you can probably find that you can contribute. So tip number 1, if you see something that needs to be done, go ahead and do it. That could be a problem-solving skill. That just could be take an initiative skill. Whatever it is, I promise you, when your boss sees that you're doing something to where he didn't have to do, or she didn't have to do, or they didn't have to do, that's a good impression, especially in the first 90 days or at any time in your career that you will show your boss. For example, my boss recommended me to join our local D&I team in the first 30 days of my career. And at first I was going to turn it down because I just started with the company. I really did not feel comfortable joining anything other than just learning my job. But then I was like, wait a minute, if I turn this down, is this a good look? Because he didn't have to recommend me. He saw that I had previous experience as a D&I consultant doing D&I work, and it should be an honor for him to recommend me. And it was. So I said yes. And a good thing that I did, because I see why I was recommended for the team. They did great work last year, but it could use some updating in a lot of ways. And I think he saw that I had the personality and the work ethic to do that. Tip number 2, make an effort to get to know your colleagues. And you know what? Not just your colleagues. Anybody, any partners that you're going to be working with. For example, I took it upon myself in my first 30 days to reach out to not only schedule one-on-ones with my peers, but when I found out I was going to be working with outside parties or outside colleagues of mine that works with my department, I took the initiative to schedule one-on-ones with them to get to know them, just to make sure we had an understanding, a good introduction of each other. But I went the extra mile. I just didn't schedule one-on-ones with just my peers or just the colleagues or the partners I'd be working with. I actually scheduled one-on-ones with their managers as well. Who does that, right? Who has the confidence to schedule with their managers? Me, I do. Because my thing is, I just don't want to know where you came from, what your experience is, or how we're going to be working together. I want to know what the manager's expectations are of our partnership. I want to know how can I make an impression on your manager as well, a good impression on your manager. So for that reason, I scheduled from the top down and from the bottom up. When I told my boss I did that in one of our first one-on-ones, he was really impressed. He was like, "You've only been here 3 weeks and you've already been having meetings with managers?" I was like, "Yeah." To me, it's not a thing, because one thing that I did not have a problem with, especially in my last company, I can coach up. Coaching up means you don't always have to just provide feedback to, or you're not afraid to provide feedback to anyone. A lot of people will provide feedback to someone who is lower than them in level or in their career, but a lot of people are not confident or maybe even afraid to provide feedback or coach someone who is higher than them as far as titles. Not me. I do it respectively, of course, but I want to make sure, but in this case, it wasn't about providing feedback. It was just to build relationships with the people that I'm going to be working with and their leadership. Which reminds me, before we get to tip number 3, I have another question for you. What is your best way to accept feedback or criticism? A lot of people have a problem with this. They're really eager to give criticism or give feedback, but when they try to get it, they don't take it well. Basically, they can dish it, but they can't take it. So answer down below. How do you take feedback? How do you take criticism? Explain, give me some tips so that we can help others as well in the community. And don't forget, if you haven't done it already, please make sure you go ahead and press that thumbs up to help the YouTube algorithm so this video can get out to others in the community just in case they're struggling. And don't forget to subscribe as well if you're loving this content. Now let's move on to the last tip, number 3. Now, I know this is probably going to sound a little juvenile or expected. Or you're like, just Rokeya, really? This is your last tip? You will be surprised to the fact that even if you don't point this out, people still mess up. This is probably the most easiest way to impress your boss. Tip number 3. Be timely. And I'm not just talking about being on time to work. Yes, get your time management in order. Of course, be on time to work. Be early if you can. But I'm not just talking about that. I'm also talking about, I need you to be timely when it comes to setting deadlines or making deadlines. So if your boss, your colleague, a partner, anybody who gives you a deadline on when a project or a task needs to be done, have it done by that deadline. And if you can, have it done maybe a day before or a few hours before that deadline. Nothing has impressed by you, by you having things done on time. When you are late is when the eyes start looking like, did I hire this person at a good time? Was I sure to hire you? Don't be that person, okay? This, I will have to say, I learned the hard way. For example, I will remember a time in my old job to where I would have a deadline and I will always make the deadline. But the problem came in is when I created my own deadline. So if somebody provided me a deadline, I always made it. I'm a very timely person. If I tell you, or if you tell me if you give me a date, I'm going to have it done by that date, if not earlier. But the problem comes in if I have to make my own deadline. For example, there have been times in the past, and we're not going to say how soon in the past, but there have been times in the past to where I am just going through tasks, I'm rolling, I might be a little overwhelmed, but I'm still rolling. But if somebody asks me, when will you have something due? And I give them a date, sometimes I think I'm overdoing it, because a lot of times I have not made that date. So thankfully, it was a lot of times it happened in my old job to where, I was years into that career. It wasn't a big deal. And not to mention my track record on getting things on time and not missing deadlines overpowered the times that I didn't make the deadline. However, don't take that advice. Do as I say and not as I do. Okay? So with that being said, somebody gave me this advice and I'm going to give it back to you. Give the person a deadline, give them a date on when you're going to have it done, but make sure that date is far beyond that you know you will have it done. So for example, if you know the task that you've been assigned is probably only going to take you maybe 48 hours to complete, give that person 5 days. Okay? It may only take you 2 days to get it done, and you know it's going to probably only take you 2 days, but give that person 5 days a deadline to get it done. Why is that? Because you don't know if there's going to be a fire that you're going to have to put out. And I probably promise you, you're probably going to have a fire that you're going to have to put out. So with that being said, or you just may get busy and you forget or something, right? Anything can happen in those 2 days. But if you turn it in within 2 days, but you told them you would turn it in within 5, nothing impresses your boss more than turning in something early or finishing a task early. I promise you. So give the date, do overkill with a deadline if they ask you when the deadline should be. Now, the way you can also overcome that is if they say, well, when will you have this done? You can kind of throw it back on them to say, okay, well, would you like to have it done? Or when would you like me to have it done? That way, if they do provide you a date, again, just make sure you have it done by that date. Okay? I know that sounds like this is just beneath you, or this is just an easy tip to do, but I promise you, I know plenty of colleagues that do not have things on time, and for a lot of managers, that's a pet peeve. That's it for today. I didn't want to make this video very long. I just wanted to come to you to kind of give you some tips on what you can do to impress your boss, impress your colleagues, impress your partners, whoever you want to impress, whether it's your first 90 days or you've been with your company 10, 12 years. Do these 3 tips and I promise you, you will have somebody saying, I hired a good person. Yeah, they did. And you're going to show them. One more question. Do you have any tips that you can share that you maybe impressed your boss or someone that you know at your job? Can you leave that tip below? Please provide us some extra tips. I would love it. Like I said, I'm new to this company and I don't know everything, so I would love to have a tip. Once again, if you have not subscribed to my channel, I certainly appreciate it. Please go ahead and press that subscribe button. If you are interested in anything life, career, and travel please go ahead and press that thumbs up, because again, it definitely helps me out and this channel out so that YouTube can push this video out further. Thank you so much. Until next time.